Hello. This lesson specifically addresses auxiliary views. In another recording, we'll cover the remaining parts of this lesson, sectioning methods, hatching, and CTB. So for now, this is the specific topics that we will discuss. If you have your book, go to page 231, and there is a few pages regarding auxiliary projection methods. Let's start with that. Alright, this is page 229, which is more or less a review of multi-view. You can see in the middle of the page something that we talked about earlier, where you would have 6 possible views, and this would be the traditional layout. The front view being your main view, and then you could possibly have 5 other views: right, left, top, bottom, back. This, again, is the traditional arrangement. However, sometimes this is not enough. When you have angled planes or angled surfaces, those surfaces do not show in true size or shape in any of those 6 traditional views. When that is the case, and you need to do some design work on those surfaces, you will have to switch to what's called an auxiliary view. Here is a perfect example of that, and this is on page 231, where you can notice that this particular angle is not seen in true size and shape in the top view or the right side view. So anything you see is not entirely in true shape. So what you would do is you would project off that surface, and you can see the projection line, and you would have 90-degree or perpendicular construction lines projecting off of that surface. And what happens after that is you would take, in the case of your top view, anything left to right is in true size, and you would lay out that measurement in that direction off of your auxiliary surface. Of course, you have to make sure that the distance between your views is spaced enough to clear that lane of projection. If you were to look at the lower half of the page, you could see an alternative method where you could offset your projection lines to get out of the way. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, it's easy enough to just spread your views out to avoid that. You'll notice in here it's called viewing plane line, and it's just a surface that is projected off of that, and it indicates you're looking straight down into that. So another evidence is that your holes or your circles are in true size and shape in the auxiliary view, but you can see how elliptical or distorted they are in the top or right side view. And you can see where this hole exits the back wall is quite elliptical in the right side view, yet you're looking straight through it in this view. So this is a auxiliary view, and this is what we're going to need to do to learn how to create this. Now, if you open the class file from the folder called Auxiliary 1, you will see this drawing. I've created this shape, front view, top view, and what I want you to do is realize that we're going to need to create an auxiliary view off of this, and we first identify the angle, and then we need to project off of that 90 degrees, and we will come up with this actual shape, which in this is the top view, but this is not in true size and shape. This is a down sloping plane, and you can see in the front view that edge view of that plane. Now, we don't need a right side view to complete our auxiliary view for this example. Another thing I want you to notice is that for whatever reason, this profile or this outline of my front view is not separate lines. And you may very well get that in other cases. So in order for us to offset this line and not have to worry about this being all one shape, we're going to explode it. Okay, so your first step would be to explode, here's the explode button, that outer connected profile. Alright, and then just confirm that when you rest your mouse after exploding that it's down to a single line. The next thing we're going to want to do is to create a layer for construction lines. So let's open up our layer property, and we have a couple of layers in here. I'm going to create a new layer for construction. And the color, we will make that darker gray right next to the white down there, which is officially color number 8. Eventually we're also going to need a hidden line. So while we're here, let's create a layer for hidden. I'm going to make that also our typical yellow color, and need to load the line type hidden. We're going to begin with layer construction, so let's make that layer current. And just for the sake of a little cleaner view, I'm going to change the color of my layer dimension to a brighter color. Let me see what we have. I'm going to go with cyan just so it's a little easier to see on screen. Okay, so we're ready to begin with the construction of our auxiliary view. Alright, so the first thing that I recommend doing is to take the angled plane and let's offset that line 2 inches. 2 inches is what we usually use for spacing between views. I've moved this up a little higher, and honestly I did that by eye because I knew it was more than 2. Alright, so I'm going to offset this line over 2 inches. So here's the offset command. And remember, you have to type in the amount first, so to enter, and then select the angled surface and just move outward. Okay, by offsetting that, it guarantees that when we create our construction lines, we can snap to the endpoints from this surface to that surface, and knowing that it'll be at a 90-degree. Alright, so we're in layer construction. We're going to use a ray construction line. Okay, so that's under the draw. So you have to open up the draw panel, and ray is the one that has a starting point, but it goes on to infinity on the other end. So I'm selecting ray, and I'm going to select the top point of my angle and just snap to that line. Enter. I'm going to press enter to restart the command so I don't have to go up and pick it from the ribbon. I'm going to select the lower part of the angle and snap to the other end of the construction. Alright, so now this enables us to use these construction lines as the outer footprint, so to speak, of my auxiliary surface. So on this, the distance from here to here will be true length, and then we're going to use the top view to measure and offset distances in that direction, which in the top view is true length. So what I'm going to do is place some temporary dimensions in my top view because I'm going to need to know how much to offset. So I'm going to open up my layer list and switch back to layer dimension, and I'm going to go to linear, and I'm going to throw some check dimensions on here for easy reference. And I think for the sake of seeing this more easily, I'm also going to increase my text height. Wouldn't normally do this as a finished product. Text height seems a bit small. I'm going to up it to 0.18. Okay, numbers are easier to read, right? Okay, so I'm going to add a couple of more dimensions of surfaces that I'm going to need. And the rest I can attain by projecting from the top view down and off in that direction. Alright, so I'm going to go back to my layer 0. And the first thing I'm going to do is, now that I know the depth of this being 2 inches, I'm going to offset this line 2 inches. So back to offset, typing in my 2 and enter, selecting this line, and then moving off and offsetting. So quickly we know that this surface is going to fill this envelope here. And we'll come up with a shape. We have to project to get our little cut-ins here, which will reduce some of the area here. But that's the process that we need to learn for any auxiliary view. Alright, so one way of understanding this is to know that for every one of these edges here, here, and of course the 2 outer edges, if we project straight down, it'll line up with these lines here. Okay? Just like the outer edge would come down and then go 90 degrees in that direction. So we don't need to project down because we know they arrive there. However, they will go 90 degrees in this direction. So what I'm going to do is simply copy one of these at these 2 points here, so that I will have 2 more construction lines. And I'm almost creating a grid or matrix like chart in there. Okay, so I'm going to go to the copy command, and I'm going to select this line, enter, snap to the starting point, bring it over to here and here. Alright, so now quickly I can imagine that it's going to do something like this, and that will be my auxiliary surface. Okay, so these construction lines are greatly assisting me in accomplishing that. What I'm going to do next, and that's why I added these other dimensions, I know it's a 1/2 inch in from the edges to generate this line and this line. Okay, so I'm going to use the offset command one more time, and I'm going to offset those outer lines inward by 0.5. Okay, so 0.5, and I'm going to select this outer edge and go in, click. Oh, snap got the best of me. So I'm going to click here and go in and click, and I'm going to pick here and come in and click. And I have to get rid of this line, which I accidentally offset in the wrong direction. Okay, so now I can literally see what's going to happen here is this will be the shape of my auxiliary view. So I have all the lines that I need. I just need to now do some trimming and adding over my construction lines. So let's say we'll start with this line right here. That line is going to be between here and here. So I'll go to my line command, just confirming I'm in layer 0. I am. And I'm going to just snap to the endpoints from here to here. And then I know that this line here, okay, is only going to go from here to here. It does not continue past that. So I'm going to trim and get rid of the rest of that line. I don't need any more of that. So I'm going to go to trim. This time I'm going to select this as my cutting edge. I'm going to pick that line and press enter, and then select anything beyond that and then enter. Okay, my next line is going to be this, which I know is, if I were to follow that down, alright, and then along here, it's going to be between there and there. So again, this line will take place between there and there. So back to the line command, and I'm going to snap from here to here, enter. And along that line, nothing is going in this direction. It does go to the left and stops here. So along this offset line from earlier, I really only need from there to there, right? So how would I figure that out again? If you took this line here and you projected it down, right, down to those two lines, and then back up. It starts here and finishes here. So I'm going to trim the outer edges from there to there. So I'm going to go to trim. This time I'm going to press enter and then just get rid of the pieces of line outside of that. Okay, then finally this piece of line here, if I follow that down to here and then back up, that's going to wind up being there. So I'm going to snap to the two endpoints here and here, enter, and then this little piece of line becomes right here. And I just want to show you another variation. Instead of trimming it all the way to there, I could simply click the line, grab the grip, and bring it back to here. Okay. Finally, I'm going to trace over from there to there with my line command. And if I were to turn off my layer construction, I now have my auxiliary view. Okay, so this shape is this surface in true size and shape. So if you were hovering up in space looking at that surface directly, this is what you would see. So if I had any design work I needed to do or careful measuring along that surface, I will now get an actual accurate result. Whereas if I tried measuring along on this, I would not be getting an accurate result. Okay, so there is creating an auxiliary surface. Now we're going to continue with this and actually finish the entire view to create an auxiliary view, not just a plane. And what I mean by that is this upper area is correct, but if I took those 90-degree lines and I projected them all from the bottom surface, we know that something else is going to continue happening all the way out to here. These lines will continue downward and we would see something more there. And no, it's not going to be a straight line because we're going to have a similar profile cutting up and completing the view as such. Alright, with that said, I'm going to turn my layer construction back on, and we're going to copy one of these construction lines to all four bottom lines. Now, just one word of caution on this: if your object was much more complex, too many lines will become way too confusing. So this is where you have to start concentrating. And if there are too many lines, then I would not advise drawing all the construction lines at once. Work on small areas at a time. Alright, so we know at the bottom, all the way out to here, right, is this area here. So if we were to continue with this line all the way down and back along this edge here, that tells me that these lines should continue all the way out and stop. That is truly the farthest edge that we would see. So with that in mind, I'm going to go to my line command, confirming I'm in layer 0. And I'm going to snap from here and continue that all the way out to the edge. Right, enter. Restart my line command and bring this one all the way out to the edge, and then return that. Okay, so this surface right here, this whole surface, is right here if you were looking in at it, right? Or again, that's this surface if you were looking in at it from the side. That's what you would see. Alright, next surface would be this line here. If we bring that all the way down, it becomes this edge. So this is going to continue out and meet up with it over to here. So we're going to go back to the line command, and I'm going to snap to here because we're looking for this edge here, which is a combination of that and that. So that would be from this corner coming all the way over to right here and then cutting into there. So this edge here would be that surface and this surface, which means we then have to walk over or come over to this surface. So we can walk over or come over to that surface, which you look at the bottom line, which would be here coming out, and then this would come all the way down and meet up with it. Okay, so back to the line command. I'm going to snap from here and go all the way down to here and then cut in and hit enter. Alright, so that would be the last remaining surface, which would be this entire edge and that edge if you're looking at it into that direction. Now, the thing about this auxiliary surface, remember what we finished first. We had this top surface. Now, that is in true size and shape, but these surfaces are not. They are at an angle. And there's one more line that we need to add to this. And see if you can figure out on your own what's missing. I'll give you a second to think about that. A hint is look at what construction line has not been used yet. Okay. Alright, I'll help you with that. So this one's used, that one's used, this one, and this one's used. What do I mean by used? If you follow along them, there's a line that's being drawn somewhere along that. And then this one and this one. Now if I just temporarily turn them off, that leads the last one coming from here. And what do you think that's for? That's the back corner, and that's why we created a hidden layer. So switch to layer hidden, go to the line command, and in your auxiliary view you're going to trace it from side to side. Okay. Auxiliary views are usually difficult if you don't have a lot of experience with the whole multi-view projection. And I get it. I know that it's a visual challenge. Okay, but the more you work with this, the easier it will become. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the rest of my construction lines, and this is our completed auxiliary view. Okay, what we started, the first thing we completed was an auxiliary plane, but this is the entire view that you'd see looking at it in that direction. Now I'm going to go one step further, and I've already had this drawn. I put it in a layer here, so if you notice this layer before, you might have said, hey, I don't have that layer. I created this object in 3D, and I'm going to unfreeze it, and I'm going to show you when we change our viewpoint, we're literally going to see this object. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on a shading and switch our viewpoint. Now this is 3D, and we're going to get to this in time. So now when I change my viewpoint to be looking directly in at that surface, okay, so my line of sight is looking right in at that surface. Look at what we see. Okay, we see our auxiliary view. Okay, so this is literally looking at a three-dimensional object from that viewpoint to confirm that that would be the correct view. Alright, so I'm going to go back to my top view. Alright, so you will have an assignment to create an auxiliary view, now the entire view, in a similar fashion. I'm going to open up that homework file, and we can take a look at them side by side in your folder or wherever you downloaded the auxiliary assignment. Okay, let's take a look at these side by side. This is what you need to create. What you're going to do is open up this file and you're going to window the entire object like I'm doing now. I didn't initiate a command, I just windowed it in. Right click, clipboard, copy, and then you're going to open up your title block drawing and then right click, clipboard, paste, and paste these three views into your title block drawing, and then you're going to create the auxiliary view from this. Alright, so imagine projecting 90 degrees off of this surface here and then creating that entire view inside. Actually, I missed the line here, all the way out here. And then creating that view inside those construction lines. Okay, so you're going to use the same process. If there's no construction layer, create one. Take this edge. Remember what we did first? We offset this edge 2 inches. I threw some check dimensions so that I know what some of these things measured, and I offset this line another whatever that X dimension is for the depth dimension, and I went from there. Okay, so see if you can do that. Save the drawing with your name and the date of the class tacked onto it, and then print it out and get me that email as soon as you can. Alright, that's all for now. I hope this helps. Good luck.